For any investor, measuring opportunity against risk is critical. And for real estate investors in particular, the risks are rising due to increasingly extreme weather. And that's why a cottage industry of companies is stepping up to give investors a look at the future and what it could cost. Diana Olick has the details in the latest in her series on the rising risks to real estate.
When Typhoon Mangkhut ravaged Hong Kong last summer and Hurricane Florence decimated Wilmington, North Carolina at the same time, in a tower high above Chicago, Mary Ludgin was watching. The head of global investment research at Heitman, Ludgin's job is to measure risk across the firm's $42 billion worth of property assets across 4 continents. And climate risk is the new frontier.
We see it as the unexplored risk that we need to try to quantify.
Heitman partnered with the Urban Land Institute in a groundbreaking study on climate risk and real estate investment decision-making. It concluded that overall, the real estate markets are far from understanding climate risks enough to price them in today. But those who are prepared have the potential to outperform.
We wanted to sharpen our skills and our ability to underwrite the risk of sea level rise, storm surge, wildfires.
So Ludgin turned to a brand new category of companies, high-tech data analysts who go well beyond current flood maps to forecast future climate risk to real estate. When you look out at the water around Manhattan, what's the first thing that comes into your mind?
It's beautiful and it's incredibly dangerous.
Rich Sorkin is co-founder and CEO of Jupiter Intelligence, a barely 3-year-old startup that has grown to a staff of 50, backed by $40 million in venture capital. Among its clients are the cities of New York and Miami.
We're seeing a dramatic expansion in large corporations coming to us saying we need to understand the risk to this office complex or the risk to this hotel or the risk to this neighborhood where we have hundreds of millions of dollars of mortgages out.
Jupiter analyzes specific properties using thousands of predictive data points and then gives its clients a risk score going out 10, 20, 50 years.
We're essentially physically modeling what's happening with the atmosphere and the water or the fire at a very specific level of detail, which is now only possible because computers have gotten so powerful.
And it goes well beyond what insurance companies forecast.
Insurance is basically a 1-year contract, at the end of which the insurer gets to say, oh, we'll keep insuring you, but here's the new cost. Or, sorry, insurance is no longer available given the wind risk in your location.
When most people consider climate risk, they're not picturing a gorgeous day like this along the Chicago River. They're thinking about hurricanes or wildfires. But cities across the globe are now investing in new ways to protect themselves all the time against rising sea levels and more extreme weather. And the cost of that is yet another risk to real estate investors.
What we've added into the mix is, what if your insurance costs quadruple? What if your property taxes quadruple? Does the investment still make sense?
The United States faces more than $400 billion in costs over the next 20 years to defend coastal communities from sea level rise, according to a study just released by the Center for Climate Integrity and Resilient Analytics. That includes building 50,000 miles of coastal barriers in 22 states. 2 years ago, residents in Miami voted themselves a $400 million bond, taxing themselves to protect their city from flooding.
The last 2.5 years have really been transformative in terms of the way the business community all over the world is thinking about these issues.
For Nightly Business Report, I'm Diana Olick in Chicago.